Alright. Okay, Azim check.
Baik.
Alright, you are now live.
Okay, cool.
Ya.
Okay, semua dah ready kan?
Ya.
Okay, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, selamat pagi dan salam bahagia. Apa khabar semua? Jadi bertemu lagi kita dalam siri ketiga untuk program Apa Nak Tanya bersama dengan Apa Di Langit. Okay. Jadi saya Hafiz Muza, founder kepada Apa Di Langit, dan bersama saya ada co-founder saya.
Okay. Saya Amirul Haziq, co-founder Apa Di Langit. Dan bersama kami adalah
Sama dengan kita hari ini ada Dr. Chong.
Hello, apa khabar?
Okey, Dr. Chong akan menjadi tetamu kehormat kita untuk bicarakan tajuk yang menarik hari ini. Okey. Berkenaan dengan career dan juga Malaysia Discovery. Okey, jadi untuk kita mulakan sesi pagi ni, kita akan kenal dulu siapa Dr. Chong sebenarnya. Dr. Azim nak kongsikan Dr. Chong siapa?
okey, boleh.
Boleh sebut soalan sekali lagi kan?
Okey.
Belum soalan lagi, Doktor.
Okay. Kami akan introduce Dr. dulu.
Belum. Okey.
Boleh.
Okey.
Okay, so hai semua, bersama kita adalah Dr. Chong Hon Yew, merupakan mantan pensyarah fizik di Universiti Sains Malaysia. Beliau mengasaskan Kelab Astronomi USM pada tahun 1986. Kemudiannya mengasaskan Penang Astronomical Society, Pertubuhan Astronomi Pulau Pinang pada tahun 2016. Beliau adalah juga co-director untuk Malaysian Astronomy Olympiad dan juga merupakan Computer Science Astronomy di Tekdom Pulau Pinang. Okay. Jadi kalau ikut latar belakang beliau ni, orang yang sangat kami kagumi lah, kerana beliau membangunkan banyak cerah di sekolah-sekolah sekitar Pulau Pinang. Dan beliau juga amat aktif menjalankan aktiviti siapan lagi malam magazine di kapal Swing Drive setiap malam minggu. Kecuali waktu kita tu
Okay.
Alright. That's all about Dr. Chong.
Ya. Okey, soalan yang pertama.
Oh, itu tak sabar nak bagi soalan, nak jawab.
Ya.
Okay. Alright, terus kita ada banyak soalan dan kita dah pilih beberapa soalan yang kita kongsikan dengan Doktor. Kita akan menjawab soalan-soalan yang duduk. Jadi kita ada soalan pertama. Soalan pertama saya daripada Aisyah Zawad. Apakah laluan kerjaan ahli astronomi?
Ini yang soalan berkenaan dengan career ke? Career?
Apakah laluan kerjaya ahli astronomi?
Ini jika saya boleh tukar itu bentuk soalannya lah. Saya yang seorang pelajar di Malaysia, saya sangat minat menjadi ahli astronomi profesional. Apa yang saya kena buat, bukan? Okey ya. Ini jawapan yang panjang lah. Jadi sekarang siapa yang di Malaysia macam pelajar-pelajar bukan sahaja di sekolah menengah, college universiti, termasuk pelajar di tadika, sekolah rendah. Itu saya yang sangat minat dalam astronomi. Apa yang saya boleh buat pada masa depan, saya mahu menjadi satu penyelidik dalam astronomi lah. Researcher. Pakar astronomi profesional. Okey. Jadi sekarang yang tahun 2020, haraplah masa kecemasan COVID-19 ini akan berlepas dan kami balik sembuh ke keadaan yang biasa. Boleh keluar, boleh pergi sekolah, boleh kerja dan sebagainya lah. Jadi dalam kes ini, masa sekarang di Malaysia kami sangat bertuah kerana sekarang sudah ada ramai orang Malaysia yang sedang membuat kajian penyelidikan dan akan menjadi PhD dalam astronomi. Dan bukan sahaja akan dapat PhD astronomi, tetapi yang pun ramai pakar astronomi Malaysia yang sudah dapat PhD. Dan ada orang Malaysia ni yang ada kerja di Malaysia dan di luar negara. Jadi sekarang ada yang kami tahu jika tak ada itu masa genting COVID ini kami akan ada bulan lalu bulan Mac 2020 Global Malaysian Astronomers Convention. Jadi jika buat itu, semua ada terlibat 70 orang Malaysia yang sudah dapat PhD astronomi atau yang akan dapat PhD astronomi. Jadi sekarang ini boleh katakan ada ramai orang Malaysia yang minat astronomi dan ada satu career dalam astronomi. So itu. Jadi jika saya tukar sedikit soalan, bukan sahaja apakah saya kena buat dapat career astronomi. Bukan. Saya sekarang yang ada soalan-soalan khas. Saya nak menjadi seorang pakar astronomi, astrofizik. Apa yang saya kena buat? Saya sekarang yang tingkatan 3. Darjah 3, standard 3. Apa yang saya kena buat? Saya sekarang yang tingkatan 4, form 4. Apa yang kena buat? Jadi tumpu kepada itu kepakaran astronomi yang khas. Masa depan saya nak menjadi seorang kosmologi. Saya tak minat guna teleskop tengok bintang. Tapi saya sangat minat tahu apakah rahsia-rahsia besar astronomi. Bagaimana cakrawala dilahirkan, apakah kiamat cakrawala. Bukan kiamat bumi, kiamat cakrawala. Kosmologi. Boleh. Dan sekarang kami ada sudah lama buat banyak itu aktiviti di kawasan utara, Pulau Pinang, Kedah, Perlis, kawasan utara Perak dan juga ada di Selangor, di lain-lain negeri di Malaysia pun ada buat aktiviti. Ramai adik sekolah tanya kami soalan. Jadi mereka minat menjadi, ada seorang pelajar Anissa, dulu belajar di sekolah konvent Green Lane, Pulau Pinang. Oh, dia minat menjadi kaji itu perubatan angkasa, space medicine. Jadi saya calonkan dia, oh Anissa, you kena pergi ke Moskow lah, Rusia. Kerana dulu kita tahu bahawa Rusia ada banyak kosmonaut di angkasa, bukan? Jadi itu kepakaran, itu perubatan angkasa ialah mestilah sangat maju di Rusia. Alright? Dan ada banyak orang yang minat. Banyak je tengok dalam bidang astronomi, banyak tajuk yang minatnya. Jadi ini, you pilih satu kepakaran yang you minat menjadi masa depan dan apa yang kena buat dan pada akhirnya menjadi pakar itulah. Okey ya? Ada lagi soalan?
Okey, doktor. Alright. Soalan yang kedua, okey. Hazim?
Okey, baik. Soalan yang kedua, doktor, from Yat Moharani. Macam mana kita nak mengikis pendapat ramai yang mengatakan kerjaya bidang astronomi tak terpilih dan tak menjamin masa depan? So, macam mana kita pendapat doktor?
Ada beberapa perkataan yang Yat Moharani sebut, yang saya ingin tak betul lah. Yang bidang astronomi tak popular dan tak menjamin masa depan. Jadi jika Yat Moharani bersama saya ingin juga bersama dengan peminat-peminat apa di langit buat aktiviti astronomi di sekolah-sekolah menengah, rendah, Pusat Belibelah, Putrajaya, Pulau Pinang, Kedah, mana-mana. Dan kami ada banyak aktiviti dulu, terutama katakan ada peristiwa khas, komet cerah di langit. Ada di atas padang sekolah ada 1,000 pelajar dengan ibu bapa, cikgu-cikgu. Okey? Jadi di dalam suasana itu ada ramai orang tanya kami tahu. Jadi you tengok dalam muka-muka adik-adik sekolah menengah rendah, ibu bapa, orang gila astronomi. Bukan tak popular dan tak menjamin. Kerana mungkin Yat Moharani tak ada peluang bersama kami menggalak mempromosikan astronomi untuk rakyat Malaysia. You tengok, ramai orang minat. Bukan saja di bandar besar, dekat kampung. Ada percerapan di sekolah kampung 500 orang, 800 orang ada di Kedah. Ya, jadi sekarang pendapat saya macam ni ya. bukan sahaja kita kena pergi ke satu sekolah di bandar Malaysia, di kampung Malaysia lah. Okey, adik-adik tahu ke apa ni yang astronomi? Tak tahu, kami tak tahu. Okey, saya sekarang jelaskan. Astronomi ialah kajian ialah bulan, bumi, matahari, musitari, sistem suria, bintang-bintang, galaksi. Tak payah buat macam itu. Kita bukan menggalakkan astronomi dari tahap sifar. No. Mana-mana di Malaysia, beribu-ribu adik sekolah sangat minat astronomi. Dia sudah tahu. Dia sudah baca. Banyak tahun ada baca sendiri. Sekolah-sekolah, perpustakaan, internet, handphone, astro, dia orang sudah tahu. Jadi sekarang, kami yang pergi ke banyak tempat di sekolah-sekolah, di pusat belah, beli belah, di Pulau Pinang, di KL juga, okey. Ialah bukan membantu orang belajar astronomi dari tahap sifar. No, mereka sudah tahu. Cuma yang mereka tak banyak dedahan aktiviti amali, praktikal. Dia tahu, dia ada baca, tengok, oh ini gambar musitari yang rakam oleh seorang pakar astronomi dari Jepun. Hebat, tapi belum tengok melalui teleskop. Tapi di Pulau Pinang boleh tengok. Dengan apa di langit boleh tengok. Jadi kami ialah memberi apa itu? Maklumat first hand. First hand. Tengok dengan mata anda sendiri. Itu pengalaman first hand astronomi kepada orang Malaysia. Ini yang kita mahu. Jadi sekarang, sekali lagi saya ulangi jawapan saya lah. Bukan sahaja astronomi tak popular atau tak menjamin kerjanya. Ramai orang minat. Cuma yang kita kena, bagaimana kita kena mula menggalakkan aktiviti di Malaysia. Bukan dari sifar. Yalah, kita mula dengan, okey, adik-adik sudah tahu banyak tahun. Berapa ada banyak kali ada jumpa dengan adik sekolah. Sekarang dia lah form 4. Bila adik minat astronomi? Saya minat darjah 2. Sudah minat. Tapi cuma yang baca buku. Tengok handphone. Tak ada pengalaman itu cerapan bintang. Sekarang kita buat aktiviti cerapan bintang dan ada apa-apa soalan yang terkini boleh tanya. Kami boleh jawab. Okey? Dan ini astronomi ini ialah satu pengetahuan yang pelik tau. Kerana dia melibatkan apa itu? Bidang fizik. Itu ialah orbit planet. Alright? Jabatan muti kena ukur. Bila kena buat cerapan hilal. Sebenarnya dia tengok, dia buat itu ramalan. Saya ada tengok Jabatan Muti Pulau Pinang. Ramalan itu dia guna itu logaritma. Dia tak guna calculator. Dia guna itu logarithm table. Dia buat itu. Jadi sebenarnya dia pakai itu dipanggil hukum gravity Newton. Newton's law of gravity. Alright? Jadi dalam aktiviti itu kita belajar itu matematik, fizik dan kimia sekarang. Okey? Contohnya kita kena buat simulasi. Itu dipanggil bagaimana sekarang ada dapat mencari. Saya ingin semalam saya ada tengok dalam internet hingga semalam sudah ditemui dengan baik-baik semua orang. Hafiz Hazim, jangan jatuh dari kerusi anda. 4,000, okey dengar. 4,255 exoplanet sudah ditemui.
Wow.
Lebih 4,000. Dan saya tambah lagi satu ayat, and still counting. Setiap minggu ada lagi 2, 3, 10. Jadi ada bagaimana itu exoplanet itu dilahirkan. You buat simulasi awan fotosolar atau nebula fotosolar yang mengecut kerana ada graviti dan satu bintang dan exoplanet baru dilahirkan. Jadi kita guna kimia juga. Kerana ini dipanggil awan molekular. Awan molekular. Macam itu ada seorang pakar astronomi Malaysia, Dr. Lee Chin Pei. Tadi dia kerja di institut di Taiwan lah, di Taipei. saya ada pergi ke persidangan itu astronomi dia sekarang dia guna itu data dari ALMA. ALMA ialah sub-millimeter radio teleskop di Chile. Jadi dia guna itu data eksperimen balica ALMA di Chile. Dia dapat bagaimana tahu itu exoplanet dan bintang-bintang baru sedang dilahirkan. Jadi inilah kimia tau. Kerana awan molekular berkaitan kimia. Dan sekarang ada dapat mencari banyak itu exoplanet bukan? Mestilah ada banyak kajian berkenaan dengan biologi, kaji hayat. Jadi kaji hayat terlibat dalam astronomi. Terutamanya sudah beribu-ribu tahun orang manusia minat bincang dengan UFO, makhluk asing. Tapi saya jarang guna itu perkataan UFO atau makhluk asing alien kerana dalam tayangan gambar biasanya alien itu yang jahatnya, tak baiknya. Saya minat guna itu ET, extraterrestrial. Yang baik punya. Jadi sekarang inilah soalan berkenaan dengan itu ET pun ada di sini. Jadi sekarang boleh dikatakan bahawa pengetahuan yang paling tua di dunia adalah bidang astronomi, bidang falak lah. Alright, it's the oldest, and at the same time, I also speak a bit in English, and at the same time, astronomy deals with every field of human knowledge. Semua bidang pengetahuan orang manusia, including agama, religion also. Alright, so that means if you want to do astronomy, it does not mean that you become an astronomer. As a kind of amateur astronomer, you are keen. In fact, many of the amateurs are very good in astronomy. And we know that there's an organization called the IAU, International Astronomical Union, right? Dan dalam itu pertubuhan ini, International Astronomical Union, dia banyak pakar-pakar astronomi yang peminat dia, tapi ini pun ada satu bahagian bagi pakar-pakar astronomi amatur. So amateurs also are doing research in astronomy. So basically, the whole field of human knowledge is touching upon astronomy. You cannot run away from astronomy. Alright? In fact, you can go to see the orang asli, alright? Or you go to the Bushman or South Africa, or the Aborigines in this Australia. You talk to them. One of the basic and most fundamental knowledge is about the sky. Alright? And that is astronomy. Okay, Okay.
Okey.
Jawapan panjang
Tak apa panjang,
Tak apa,
tapi
dah.
dia
Ya.
ada isi
Tak apa, sekejap lagi
kandungan.
dengan sampai soalan yang UFO tu, alien.
Ya. Jadi saya ingin saya tak tahulah ada saudara Nur Azam ada dengar dia duduk di Pinang Tunggal di
Dia ada.
negeri Kedah. Buatlah satu sesi dengan Azam. Kerana Azam saya pun ada belajar banyak maklumat berkenaan dengan makhluk asing dan ilmu falak syari dari Azam. Alright? Dia ada banyak maklumat berkenaan dengan dia. Dan saya pun dengar baik, saya tak ada dengan saya sini. Saya ada fotoset satu buku 800 muka surat yang ditulis oleh Jamaluddin Ahmad. Ahmad Jamaluddin. Dia adalah satu penyelidik astronomi, penyelidik UFO terkenal di dunia tau. Dia ada kumpulkan banyak maklumat bukan dari kawasan, negeri dan negara demi negara. Malaysia pun ada. Banyak. Wow. Jadi mungkinlah buat satu. Dan ini saya harap dalam temu dega berkenaan dengan makhluk asing UFO ni bukan yang kita tengok dalam itu tayangan astro documentary yang tak ada maklumat hakikatnya. No. Ini ada banyak kajian yang ada hakikat. There's a scientific type of research. Boleh buat satu interview Azam lah. Nur Azam.
Azam ada bersama kita. Dia ada bersama kita hari ni.
Ya. Dan juga dia tanya dia berkenaan dengan artifak astronomi. Astrolab. Ada di USM dulu dia pelajar MSc Masters di USM. Saya jumpa dia. Ini yang datang masuk dalam diri ini Encik Astrolabe.
Ada gelarannya.
Dia ada kepakaran banyak itu artifak astronomi. Dia ada jual juga. Ya.
Okey.
Okey.
Baik. Soalan kita yang nombor 2.
Okey, mungkin saya boleh jawab satu soalan oleh Izzat Zubir. Dia pelajar USM. Boleh Saya harap Izzat ada dengar. Okey. Saya baca dia. Okey, pada pendapat Dr. Chong, adakah kita akan temui alien atau makhluk asing dalam masa 100 tahun akan datang?
Datuk tak sabar jawab ni.
Ini saya tak boleh menjawab, memberi bukti lah, tapi ini pendapat saya lah. Okey. Jadi jika kita tengok ada teleskop, dulu orang manusia guna mata kasar tengok bintang semua itu. Sehingga saya ingin tahun 1609, seorang manusia, Profesor Itali, Galileo di Itali, dia guna teleskop bukan tengok ke kapal-kapal rumah orang. Dia tengok ke bintang, bulan, matahari, planet. Alright? Jadi sudah 400 tahun jadi orang manusia ada dapat satu pembukaan atau satu letupan maklumat astronomi yang banyak tentang cakrawala. Jadi ada banyak itu maklumat. Tetapi saya ingin kami sekarang ialah dalam zaman yang super hebat tau. Apa itu? Ya, sekarang di dunia ada beberapa tempat di dunia dan di angkasa pun akan membina teleskop optik dan teleskop video yang lebih hebatnya. Contohnya di Chile, European Southern Observatory ESO sedang membina, saya ingin akan sedia membina 2025 European Large Telescope ELT.
Wow.
Saiz dia, diameternya, cermin primer ialah, jangan pengsan, 39 meter diameter.
Wow, besar.
39 meter ialah lebih besar daripada basketball court lah. Okey. Cermin secondary mirror pun besar. Tapi ini bukan dengan sekeping cermin. Dia ada dipanggil segmented mirror principle. Yang diikut itu teknologi yang dibuktikan oleh Keck teleskop di Hawaii dulu. Jadi Keck teleskop ialah 10 meter tetapi ada 36 segmen bahagian. Dia cantum menjadi 10 meter. Tapi ini ialah di Chile ialah 39 meter. Jadi ada saya inginnya mungkin 1000 keping cermin lah. Dan di bawah itu tiap-tiap keping cermin, dia cermin itu tak tebal tau. Dia nipis macam ni. Mungkin dah berpuluh-puluh sentimeter saja tau. 10 atau 20 sentimeter. Tapi sekeping cermin mungkin 1 meter besarnya. Dan di bawah itu keping cermin dia dipanggil itu actuator. Jadi dia akan tekan itu, dia guna itu active optic. Bukan adaptive optic. Active optic. Jadi itu sekeping cermin gabung dengan beberapa ratus keping cermin, dan di bawah sekeping cermin dia ada banyak itu actuator yang tekan dengan komputer, dan tiap-tiap saat dia ada banyak pembetulan betul dia, dan sumber beberapa ribu itu dan beberapa ratus keping cermin sekarang dia berfungsi macam satu cermin primer 39 meter. Jadi Amerika Syarikat pun tak mau kalah. Saya ingin masih ada masalah dapat kelulusan. Dia akan membina teleskop 30 meter teleskop, 30 meter teleskop dengan segmented mirror principle sama dengan ELT itu dekat Keck lah, dekat Hawaii. Jadi Keck ialah kita tahu di Mauna Kea ada gunung berapi yang dormant what you call volcanic cone. Di atasnya banyak teleskop dan paling baik ialah 3 teleskop. Cek teleskop 1 5 meter, cek teleskop 2 cek teleskop 1 10 meter, cek teleskop itu 2 10 meter dan dia pun ada optical interferometry. Jadi dia satu cermin yang lebih besar dan dekatnya ialah Subaru lah. Jadi Subaru ialah cermin yang satu cermin, bukan segmentometer, satu cermin 8.5 meter diameter dengan di banyak aktiviti dipanggil adaptive optic. Bukan. Active optic. Dan tergabung dengan active optic ini yang membuat cermin primer bergerak sebagai macam satu cermin parabola dan atas dia pun ada secondary mirror. Itu dia guna apa itu? Adaptive optics. Jadi adaptive optics ini adalah teknologi yang sangat canggih, boleh menghapuskan turbulence, atmospheric turbulence.
Jadi boleh nampak bagi idea Doktor.
Ya, jadi itu bintang-bintang yang berkelip-kelip kerana itu atmosfer di atas balik siap sampai ke 100 km dari permukaan bumi. Jadi di dalam astronomi tarifnya ialah angkasa ialah lebih tinggi dari 100 km ialah angkasa. Jadi
okay, Doktor.
Ya.
Kita boleh kita pergi ke soalan, maaf Doktor potong.
Boleh? Tanya.
Okey, saya tadi dah jawab soalan Izzat tadi tentang makhluk asing tu. Mungkin sekejap lagi mungkin doktor nak elaborate lebih sikit lah kan?
Okay. Ya.
Okey, kita pergi pada soalan yang nombor 3. Kerana kita ni sebenarnya mengejar masa juga. Okay. Soalan daripada Ayu. Anak saya berumur 12 tahun, minati bidang astronomi, boleh cadangkan mata pelajaran apa, bidang pengajian apa dan menawarkan. Okey.
Ini soalan yang baik, ini soalan yang selalu ditanya lah Hafiz dan Hazim. Ini yang Puan Ayu atau Encik Ayu. Okey. Jadi saya ingin anak anda ialah sebelum 12 tahun ialah macam dia darjah 5 atau darjah 6 bukan?
Darjah 6.
Darjah 6 bukan? Oh.
UPSR.
Darjah 6 ini macam bagi saya macam dia sedikit tua lah. Ada peminat astronomi di Malaysia sudah minat berkenaan dengan astronomi masa dia belajar di tadika. Bukan tadika saja, preschool. 3 tahun, 4 tahun sudah minat. Tapi 12 tahun darjah 6 pun tak lewat lah. Jadi ini saya boleh menggerakkan itu Encik Ayu atau Puan Ayu ialah yang pertama ini yang satu soalan bukan senang dijawab tau. Kerana kita tahu di Malaysia, di mana-mana di dunia, mungkinlah dekat padang pasir di Mesir atau dekat step di Mongolia, dia ada satu dawai kuprum sampai ke kampung itu dan ada seorang budak yang 12 tahun. Dia melalui internet, dia dapat banyak maklumat. Jadi melalui internet dapat maklumat, no problem, boleh baca. Tapi masalahnya cuma seorang tunggal saja. Tak boleh bincang, sembang dengan orang lain. Okey, boleh sembang dengan Skype, dengan Zoom, dengan chat group, dengan WhatsApp, dengan email boleh. Tapi yang best lah video. Okey, pun boleh buat video lah. Tapi yang best lah jika ada satu kumpulan kecil. Contohnya, jika anak anda, Puan Ayu, Encik Ayu, di sekolah, ada seorang cikgu yang minat dalam astronomi. Ini yang kelemahan. Ada ramai budak Malaysia yang minat astronomi, tapi dia sangat minat, tapi tak ada siapa boleh bincang di sekolah, di rumah. Bapa mak pun sibuk cari makan, kita faham. Tapi suka cari orang yang di dekat dia yang minat, itu yang masalah. Jadi nak baca berkenaan dengan astronomi, no problem. Guna internet, baca, tengok astro. Dan saya boleh calonkan ke Ayu, anak-anak anda boleh ada dapat itu siapa yang tengoklah dalam laman web, ada ramai orang yang minat dalam astronomi. Satu yang kita tahulah kumpulan apa di langit. Okey, Abang Hafiz, Abang Hazim bincang dengan mereka. Okey. Dan saya ingin bukan sahaja bincang dan tanya soalan apa komet, apa galaksi. Itu senang boleh baca. Banyak mereka soalannya lebih hebat.
Wow.
Okey, saya ada sekolah dekat kampung di Kelantan. Dan kami nak buat carapan bintang. Bolehkah bulan depan Hafiz dan Hazim datang ke kampung saya? Itulah. Buat aktiviti yang macam carapan yang itu first hand punya kita mau. Kamu baca boleh buat, no problem. Bukan senang. Tetapi jika anak Ayu ialah duduk dekat KL, no problem. Dekat Pulau Pinang, di Kedah, seberang Perai, Perak Utara, no problem. Datanglah ke Pulau Pinang, pergilah ke KL, okey, bersama kami, boleh buat banyak aktiviti. Jadi kami ada di, dulu saya masih ada pensyarah pusat fizik di USM. Kami ada Klub Astronomi USM di Tubuh pada tahun 1986 tahun. Oh, lama. Oh, saya macam sangat tua lah. Jadi, kami ada membuat aktiviti di sekolah-sekolah, tadika, sekolah rendah, menengah, selama. Dan kami ada peminat astronomi dari sekolah-sekolah. Bersama saya, bersama Klub Astronomi USM, banyak tahun. Banyak tahun, bukan 10 tahun. 20 tahun pun ada, 30 tahun pun ada. Dia sudah berumah tangga, ada anak-anak masih kerja di USM, masih bersama saya. Jadi dari 5 tahun, 10 tahun, 15 tahun, 20 tahun, 30 tahun ada. Macam pelajar-pelajar Klub Astronomi USM sudah berijazah dari USM, kerja di itu KL, mana-mana di Malaysia, ada di Johor, di Sabah, masih bersama kami. Jadi jika haraplah Ayu cari satu kumpulan peminat astronomi amatur yang boleh bantu kamu lah. Yang penting ialah di mana Ayu dan anak duduk di Malaysia. Jika duduk dekat Pulau Pinang dan KL, bersama kami lah. No problem. Okay, dan kami punya sikap kepada pelajar-pelajar di Malaysia bukan, ini you sekarang adik usia berapa? Saya darjah 6, 12 tahun. Saya nak tanya berkenaan dengan quantum computer.
Wow.
Ini quantum computer ini sebenarnya tak banyak berkenaan dengan astronomi. Tapi ini adalah berkenaan dengan tajuk fizik kuantum yang sangat penting. Quantum computing. Kita tak akan jawab macam ni. Adik-adik, ini tak ada diajar di sekolah. Jangan tanyalah. Adik-adik, ini saya boleh jawab jika adik belajar di universiti. Saya boleh jawab. Kita tak jawab macam itu. Kita selalu macam ni. Apa soalan yang adik tanya berkenaan dengan astronomi atau tak berkenaan dengan astronomi, haraplah berkenaan dengan sains, bidang sains. Fizik, kimia, matematik, biologi, teknologi, kejuruteraan. Dan jika kami ada pengetahuan, kami boleh kongsi dengan anda. Kami bukan ajar anda, kami kongsi dengan anda. Jadi kami ada tengok ramai pelajar peminat astronomi di Pulau Pinang, Kedah. Kami ada pergi membantu mereka buat aktiviti banyak tahun. Adapun pelajar-pelajar sekolah itu sudah berijazah dari sekolah, datanglah ke USM menjadi pelajar USM. Jadi lebih banyak tahun bersama dengan kami. Wah, dia punya dedahan kepada sains sangat luas. Jadi apa-apa soalan ditanya, boleh dijawab. Ada pelajar kami, ada peminat kami yang dulu dipanggil Josiah Cole, dia masuk aktiviti Klub Astronomi USM masa dia usianya 3 tahun. Dan sudah 3-4 tahun, dia yang tanya lah. Dia yang tanya, Dr. Chong, macam 4 tahun. Kerana dia masa itu usia 4 tahun sudah baca itu buku. Dia punya vocabulary, dia boleh baca banyak buku. Dr. Chong, apa ini ya? Quantum teleportation lah, boleh jawab ke? Kita jawab. 4 tahun saja. Usianya 4 tahun. Ini yang kita buat. Jangan takut. Kami boleh kongsikan. Right? Dan kami pun di USM dulu, sebelum ada laman web ialah 1995 datanglah ke USM. Sebelum itu, ada ramai pelajar, terutamanya pelajar-pelajar lelaki di sekolah-sekolah menengah USM. Dr. Chong, you jelaskan bahawa itu orbit itu planet ialah ellipse atau parabola. Kita tak pasti. Mereka buktikan kepada kami. Bagi formula. Kita bawa formula. Kami pun ada papan putih, whiteboard. Dekat di atas padang serapan ada marker pen. Kita membuktikan formula itu. Ada bawalah buku teks astronomi. Itu research journal. Okey, makalah itu penjelikan astronomi fizik. Dia tak, mereka pelajar yang tak yakin tahu. Dr. Chong, you sebut ini black hole, cahaya pun tak boleh berlepas. Tunjuklah saya dengan sepenuhnya bukti. Jadi kita bawa itu jurnal penyelidikan dengan whiteboard malam atas padang serapan bintang di USM akan membuktikan dan dalam 1 jam memberi itu formula. Oh, saya sekarang pasti dia boleh percaya.
1 jam.
Jadi ini kita buat. Ini bukan hukum graviti Newton tau, Hakim dan Hazim tau. Ini adalah tensor analysis. General theory of relativity. So can you explain to me that this thing called the wormhole or the Einstein-Rosen bridge, why you can tunnel through and can travel through space and time? Not only in our existing universe, but also to other parallel universes. So we actually have to come up and calculate. Tapi saya biasanya macam ni tau. Saya kena, you tanya saya minggu ni, saya belum revision. Bagi saya 1 minggu depan kita balik, ada papan putih, padang serapan bintang, kita tengok, oh dia yakin, dia puas hati. Macam itulah. So you must do that up to the highest level. You can be there.
Kuliah di luar bilik kuliah.
Tapi biasanya, saya boleh katakan biasanya tiap-tiap kali ada serapan bintang, antara 10 orang yang tanya soalan, 9 orang yang tanya soalan umum lah. Apa ni galaksi? Ini komet, mengapa komet ini ada ekor? Ini yang soalan umum. Tapi antara 10 orang, ada satu soalan yang khas punya. Dia mahu mendapat penjelasan yang mendalam. Kita cuba bantulah. Dan kita pun pada masa kita membantu mereka, kita pun ada meluaskan pengetahuan kami sendiri. Itulah dia. Kami pun ada di USM tahun 1995 ke 96, ada 1 tahun tiap-tiap Jumaat petang ada pelajar-pelajar USM, pelajar-pelajar sekolah menengah Pulau Pinang, cikgu-cikgu sekolah menengah Pulau Pinang datang ke museum dan galeri USM. Kita ada satu macam perbincangan antara Dr. Chong, ini ada satu laporan dulu sebelum ada internet. Laporan dalam surat khabar Star bahawa ada dapat satu penemuan astronomi yang hebat. Contohnya mungkin dia ada satu teleskop, katakan yang adaptive optic. Apa ini prinsipnya adaptive optic? Jadi kita bincang, kita bawa cetak satu research paper. Bagi semua orang research paper dan kita cuba faham ada apa-apa ini yang berkaitan dengan fenomena astrofizik. Dengan apa ini yang berkenaan dengan itu asteroid punya, kita cuba baca itu research paper dan kita boleh bincang. Kita buat masa itu. Tetapi selepas 1 tahun, kita berhenti kerana banyak pelajar, cikgu tak pernah datang ke USM sekali seminggu. So we stop lah. So we can have a kind of discussion, serious discussion. If you are in Form 1, Form 2, you want to join this type of serious discussion, you are welcome. Right? Provided you learn something. And if you want to study some more, no problem. Okay.
Okey, Dr. Wow, panjang.
Okey.
Okey, tak apa. Kita cuba limitedkan minit dalam menjawab, Doktor. Boleh ke, Doktor kan?
Sorry.
Ada yang tanya dalam soalan tu kata bidang pengajar apa di universiti yang ditawarkan. Antaranya di universiti Dr. Chong sendiri, USM memang ada dalam bidang astronomi atau astrofizik. Antara okay, next kita soalan seterusnya.
Okey, Azim.
Okey, daripada Aisyah, di manakah astronomer di Malaysia bekerja? Okey. Silakan, Doktor.
Okey, ini soalan baik adik Aisyah. Yang saya faham ialah astronomer ialah pakar astronomer lah, atau ahli astronomi atau ahli astronomi profesional. Saya ialah ahli astronomi amatur, tapi saya pun berbangga tau, macam Hafiz dan Hazim. Tapi di manakah ahli astronomi profesional bekerja di Malaysia? Biasanya di Malaysia di universiti. Alright? Universiti ialah bermaksud biasanya universiti kerajaan, macam di saya ingin yang macam Dr. Zamri di Universiti Melaya. Alright? Ada di UKM, Dato' Mastan juga UKM. Ada di USM pun ada. USM pun ada. Dr. John Su, dulu yang Dr. Abdul Halim, tapi dia pun sudah bersara. Tapi jadi di universiti di Malaysia. Dan ini sekarang ada pun satu soalan yang berkenaan dengan khusus di mana boleh belajar itu khusus astronomi di Universiti Malaysia. Saya pun boleh jawab lah. Okay. Jadi yang sekarang saya faham ada pun universiti awam, universiti kerajaan di Malaysia yang ada khusus astronomi. Tetapi kebanyakannya lah secara khusus elektif lah. Elektif. Apa ni elektif? Contohnya, saya seorang katakan seorang pelajar fizik di satu universiti kerajaan di Malaysia. Ini yang tahun 3, tahun 4, saya nak hadir satu kursus atau 2 kursus astronomi. Berkaitan dengan astronomi atau astrofizik. Inilah elektif lah. Jadi banyak pelajar Universiti Malaysia ialah khusus astronomi elektif. Tapi di USM, sebelum saya bersara sudah ada, dia ada satu program minor dalam astronomi. Dia ada 4 khusus elektif. Macam pengenalan astronomi, astronomi radio, dan itu konsep astronomi. Jadi ada 4 khusus. Ini elektif lah. Ini dalam program minor di USM. Tapi belumlah ada di Malaysia macam ada di negara-negara maju yang ada seorang pelajar di Universiti Malaysia ialah dia hadir satu program penuh dalam the full program in astronomy lah. We don't have it yet. So we only have a minor program, 4 courses in USM, and the other universities in Malaysia are all elective. That's it. But it's okay. Alright? You can have a start from there. Yeah.
Okay,
so,
thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Alright, okay. Thank you, Doktor. Soalan kita yang seterusnya. Okay, daripada Cik Muhammad Nazmi. Can you explain the difference between astronomers, astrophysics and cosmologists? What are the pros and cons each career?
Okay. What's the name of the student again?
Muhammad Nazmi.
Okay. Okay, Nazmi Okay, so sorry Nazmi one general comment is you're a bit late. Lewat. Ini soalan yang selalu kami sudah menjawab lama-lama, 20 tahun dahulu. Dulu, I'm not saying negative about you. It's good that you are interested. Nazmi on astronomy is good. But I'm saying that you're a bit late. You're joining us too late. What's the difference between astronomer, astrophysics, and cosmologist? What are the pros and cons of each career? It's a good question actually. This one is asked people 20 years ago. Many students, even now they still ask that. But now people are more sophisticated. I want to do space medicine, Anissa. So please go to Moscow, I told her. I want to study how the human being in space eat the food. Oh, that means you please go and become a space nutritionist. Remember, if you work in a company called Nestle, let's say you are producing the Milo, all right? So the nutritionist will test the Milo. How many calories in the Milo, how many potassium inside. So it's a nutritionist. But this is a space nutritionist. The food the astronauts, the cosmonauts, the taikonauts eat in space, and the drinks they take in space, what is how good is it? So it's space nutrition. And a lot of very specialized astronomy studies people are in keen, you know. For example, in astrophysics, astrophysics is a general topic. Many of them ask, no more, what's the astrophysics? I want to study AGN. So Hafiz, Hazim, you know, active galactic nuclei. So in the center of many galaxies, very far away from us, billions of light years, cosmological object, there's a supermassive black hole, and when the matter falls inside, it gives out a jet of X-ray, radio wave, optical light. Supermassive black hole, active galactic nuclei. So many people are very keen, and it's a very exciting field of research. So many Malaysians now they ask us about this, no, they read about this. But now I answer the general question now. Difference between astronomer, astrophysics, and cosmology. So the first thing is, I will classify the first one, the astronomers, is the first one on the top. And there are many subsections. Alright? So astronomy is this one, no? Then below one of the subsection is called here astrophysics. So what's astrophysics? Astrophysics is to do with the physics principle as applied to astronomy. For example, you want to talk about a black hole, alright? So when the matter going to fall around the black hole, you are going to use the Newton's law of gravity. Because far away from the black hole, the Newton's law of gravity will apply. So you need to apply law of gravity physics. That's astrophysics. But when you come closer to the event horizon, UFO peristiwa, then you have to apply the general theory of relativity, Einstein's field equation. And at the border of the event horizon with the external world and into the event horizon, you apply quantum mechanics. So this is astrophysics. So whenever you apply astrophysics, it is astronomy. And that means also you apply the principles of optics, electricity, and magnetism. All these physics principles applied to astronomy processes, this is astrophysics. And then the other one is cosmology. Cosmology is again one of the pillars of astronomy. It's due with the big question, soalan besar. Bagaimana Cakrawala dilahirkan? How the universe was born? The Big Bang. What happened before the Big Bang? Now people can try to answer. No. Last time you asked Professor Stephen Hawking, Professor, can you tell me what happened before the Big Bang? He can only move one finger. Sorry, he passed away. He can only move one finger. You said, I cannot answer that question. But you give me the Big Bang, and after that, I can explain to you the inflation era. And after that, until today, I can explain. But don't ask me what happened before the Big Bang. But now they are trying to, they can have some understanding. It's called the M theory. M theory, or the brain theory. They can try to understand what happened before the Big Bang. So the cosmology is what happened at the Big Bang, and hopefully before the Big Bang, what happened just after the Big Bang, inflation, and what happened until today. From the Big Bang until today, 13.82 billion years has occurred. And what's going to happen in future? The Big Rip. Bukan the Big Crunch, the Big Rip. Right? So cosmology is to do with the big question. So we have, not to say many, this is a minority, but these are the very crazy people. These are the astronomy nerds. They like to do cosmology. They don't like to see telescope. Boring, sir. I want to study the deep questions of the universe. Tell me how the universe is going to end, and prove to me with the formula. So these are the big questions. Cosmology. So this is cosmology. So in other words, if I were you, you go and look at astronomy under Wikipedia, you see what are the many sections in astronomy. Cosmology is one of the main things. And by the way, I became very interested in one subject by myself in high school in KL, cosmology. And today also cosmology is one of my favorite subjects. Cosmology. Try to read out what is the latest. Of course, what is the dulu dalam bidang astronomy tak ada banyak maklumat experimental. Previously, cosmology is just a theoretical subject. You can talk anything you like, no experimental proof. But now they have too much experimental data. The latest, of course, the Planck telescope, Planck, a telescope sent into space, and it's a radio telescope. It measures the cosmic microwave background. It's an echo of the Big Bang in microwave now, and it measures very accurately. And now the data from the Planck telescope seem to confirm a lot of predictions of the standard model of cosmology. Okay, standard model of cosmology, and some of them are still not fully understood yet, but very exciting. So now we can know even more deeper. Okay, so of course, not all information is complete because we have to wait for the next generation. Ben, tahun depan lah. Next year, March 2021, what? JWST, James Webb Space Telescope, is a radio, it's an infrared telescope with a segmented mirror in space, 6.5 meter diameter. Wow. Whereas the Hubble Space Telescope is one single mirror, 2.4 meter. Okay lah. But James Webb is 6.5 meter, much bigger.
Yes.
Remember, it's not 6.5 divided by 2.4. No. How much bigger? It's 6.5 divided by 2.4 squared. The area is squared. So it's much bigger than Hubble Space Telescope. So this one is infrared. So infrared can see even further than Hubble Space Telescope. But I think even James Webb, I've never seen in any of the announcement or one of the two of the research paper they announced this. Maybe we still have to wait for the next generation of telescope beyond James Webb. So James Webb can see further than Hubble. I mean, now we know that you look at the Hubble Extreme Deep Field, the furthest seen by man, thousands of telescopes, what's that? 13.82 billion light years from the Earth to there, they see. And these are the first generation galaxies after the Big Bang.
Oh.
With Hubble. So with James Webb, they can see further. Maybe they can even see the dark ages. Remember, according to the standard model of cosmology, immediately after the Big Bang, you have the inflation era. And after that, only pure light. Macam dalam kitab-kitab suci tau. Like in the holy books. At the Big Bang, only light. Yes, exactly like in the holy books. Right? And after that, you have the quarks form. Not quack, itik, quark. Quark will form, 3 quarks will form 1 proton, 3 quarks will form 1 neutron. And then 1 proton will trap 1 electron, then hydrogen atom form. So then matter form and so on. Right? So this is cosmology, the fundamental question of the universe. Cosmology is very exciting. So basically, it's a big question. So a lot of this. So what are the pros and cons of each career? So now I can answer you, Nazmi, is that if you are a person who is very practical, you like to use computer, you play, don't become a cosmologist. All right? Because cosmology, you have to read a lot of formula, mathematics, you cannot remember the formula. So you can become an astronomer or astrophysicist. You can become an experimental astronomer. You use telescope and use some computer modeling or astrophysics. You use the telescope, you do some computer modeling. So you do what they call this, a computer. Or you can also be very good in physics, theoretical physics, computer. You can still do astronomy and astrophysics. All right. But if you are very good in computer and you are very powerful in your mathematics, you want to become a cosmologist, then go ahead. Cosmology is the way, but very tough, very tough. All right. But there's many choices. Or you can even say, I have seen that they have discovered a lot of this type of funny galaxies by Hubble Space Telescope. And until today, there's no algorithm that is written to analyze this type of funny galaxies. Is there an algorithm? Nobody has done. Not even the Americans. So I want to come up with a new algorithm. You can do it. You can, in other words, how can you contribute to astronomy? Computer programmer lah. You understand
Yeah,
the basic
definitely.
physics, but you're good in programming. In other words, the algorithm is it. Your algorithm must be powerful, meaning that if you use a traditional algorithm, it will take you 1 million years to analyze the data. So if they come up with a powerful algorithm, it's a shortcut, and yet in the calculation is very accurate. Shortcut and accurate. And you are a computer programmer, all right? You can contribute astronomy. So basically in astronomy, it's not just astronomer, astrophysicist, it's anything. You can be a medical doctor. You can be anything. You can be contribute to astronomy. Okay, yeah? Okay.
Okay. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
wow.
Okay.
Okay, our next question, Azim.
All right. The next question is from Nurul Shahira. Her question is, how can I participate and contribute in the astronomy community even though I don't have science or astronomy major background? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Shahila is an excellent question. All right. And sorry, I'm not trying to be nasty. I'm just trying to be honest with myself and you. Is that Shahila, it's too late. Why you join us now? Answer that question. I don't know where Shahila is staying because you maybe next time. In your borang, you must put in this person is from where lah, negeri mana lah. Right?
Dia dari
So for
Kelantan,
example,
Azim.
Kelantan,
Dia dari Kelantan.
Kelantan, that's a problem.
That's the
Okay.
problem.
Assuming,
Ada mana gerak sana?
okay, assuming I don't know she's from Kelantan, I'll say that. You see, Shaira, you're not joining us in Pulau Pinang, bin apa di langit, para online, Sharin Ahmad, William Chin, his group in KL and so on. You ask this question, all right? But if you are to join us in all this activity, then you know. So I don't blame you because now I know you are from Kelantan because you don't have exposure. Because jika Shahira ada dedahan, if she has exposure, she will not ask this question. That is, sir, I am from the art stream, I'm from the commerce stream. I study commerce. So can I become interested in astronomy? You can. You're welcome. So basically, I would say that apakah kelayakan menjadi peminat astronomy? What is the qualification to become a person interested in astronomy? Is the qualification is you are a human being lah. Orang manusia. Sorry macam seekor itu kucing atau anjing, dia ada pada kesedaran. An animal, a tree don't have awareness, so cannot do astronomy. As long as you are a human being, any kind of human being, any background, okay, whether you are able or you are orang cacat, you are a human being, you have awareness, you can do astronomy. So we have in Penang, I'm sure with Apa di Langit, people who are joining us in high school, they are not keen to do science. They're from the art stream. After Form 3, they go to arts. Yeah. And many of our peminat ahli astronomy, Club Astronomy USM, bukan dari bidang sains. Seni. Wow. Management. Of course, some of them are from campus Perubatan in Kelantan. Many of them are from campus Kejuruteraan. Dulu di Trono. Tapi sekarang dekat Jawi lah. Right? Dekat Jawi. So many of them are from the non-science stream. Of course, many are from the science stream. Physics, Kimia, Biology, Mathematics, Computer Science, Technology industry. But many of them are the non-science students. So as long as you are a human being, you can do it. And I'm telling you, if you, Shahira, if you look at the biography of the famous amateur astronomer in the world, all right, they are not doctors, engineers, scientists. They can be stenographer, lawyer, graphic artist, non-science related. Wow. And they have discovered comets. They have built, they modified their CCD camera. They got very good data, right? And they are doing research work at a level equal to the professional astronomer, amateur astronomer. And their background is not science, non-science. The only thing is what? You can buat, Syahida, mesti menjadi gila astronomi lah. You might become an astronomy nerd. Every day you read about astronomy. But the problem now for the young people, China, is sangat luas. Too big, so many. So which one you can do? So what I tell our Penang people is, you study a bit of everything lah. So have you seen Jupiter? Yes, I've seen Mars. Yes. Have you seen the eclipse? Yes. Have you built your own telescope? Yes. So I've done a lot of things lah. But you must focus on one or two specialization. So let's say, I want to do amateur telescope making. Well, you go and make all the telescope. Focus on telescope. Astrophotography. So Hafiz Azim, there are people who focus not on astrophotography, astrophotography of the moon and planets only. They don't do nebula. Difficult. Some of them will do some of them will do astrophotography of comets only. Focus on special part of astrophotography. So you focus on it. So what we lack in Malaysia is the hardcore people to focus. For example, there's one, I recommend you to read. Sudah lama saya ikut di USM, dulu ada journal tau. JBAA, Journal of the British Astronomical Association. It's an amateur astronomical society, but it's very advanced. They're doing cutting edge research. Jadi dalam BAA ini, saya ada ikut BAA ini semenjak tahun 80-an, since the 1980s, 35 years already. They have a journal in the USM also. You can see internet, Journal of the British Astronomical Association. So in the journal of BAA, there are different sections. So let's say the section on comet, section on Mars, section on, let's say, galaxy, and section on, let's say, sunspot. So this section on sunspot is headed, let's say, in this section on sunspot, there are two guys only, two guys. And one guy is a medical doctor. He's not an astronomer, medical doctor. And this medical doctor has been doing the sunspot for 30 years. He has been sketching and taking photographs on sunspot for 30 years. He's a world expert on sunspot. That's what we must understand. And there's another guy who is looking for comet, and found a few comets. And been looking for comet for 25 years. And who is he? A lawyer. Seorang peguam. And he's a world expert on comet. So what we want in Malaysia like this lah. We want to have the what? Cari orang yang gila punya lah. Focus. You focus on one or two and you do it macam tu. Apa minat saya? Comet. Saya harap boleh cari satu comet Chong lah. Dan tahun depan comet ini dekat bumi sangat cerah ekor dia. Beratus-ratus juta orang manusia atas planet bumi akan sebut nama saya lah. Tak ada duit tapi dia akan jemput buat ceramah. Tahun 1996 komet Hyakutake lah. Komet yang paling hebatnya, paling jelas yang saya nampak dia ditemui oleh seorang peminat astronomi amatur Hyakutake Jepun. Dia seorang macam dia kerja di satu syarikat Jepun tau. Dia bukan pakar astronomi. Dia seorang technician di syarikat Jepun. Dia ada itu binoculars besar punya. Okey, dan dia dapat cari komet itu. Dan jadi wah, sangat cerah itu komet. Mana-mana orang di dunia jemput dia buat ceramah. Jadi you must focus. What we need in Malaysia is focus. Right? So what I'm saying is this, Shaira, don't worry. As long as you have the interest to study astronomy, you can read. The only problem is the same thing as earlier I mentioned to Ayu earlier, is that if you are in Kelantan, you look to your left and your right, nobody is keen. How are you to talk to? So you need to, if you are still in school, Shaira, tubuh lah club astronomy di sekolah anda lah. Start an astronomy club. And if you want, belilah satu teleskop. Macam saya tengok ada satu soalan, buy a teleskop. Teleskop tak sangat mahal. Ramai orang ingin, teleskop mahal, nak beli satu kereta. Tak. Itu jika ada satu handphone, itu sebuah teleskop lebih murah daripada satu handphone. Mulai RM1,000, starting from RM1,000 Malaysia, you can have a astronomy grade telescope.
Yes.
You have a
betul.
RM2,000, RM2,000, 6 inci Skywatcher Newtonian. Alright? And this telescope you can use your whole life. Alright? So RM2,000 is still less than the cost of a very good handphone like a smartphone. So if you have a telescope, Syahira, you have a telescope, I give you a word of warning tau. Saya bagi kamu satu amaran tau. Anda akan menjadi sangat sibuk. You're going to be very busy. Remember, telescope is not only see the star and galaxy and play at night. Daytime, siang, matahari. So on the telescope, you make a solar filter. You cover the solar filter onto your telescope. You can see the sun. But sorry, now no sunspot lah. But sometimes you can see sunspot. Jadi siang mencerap matahari, malam mencerap bintang, planet, galaxy, bla bla bla. Okay. Dan now I understand, Syahira, kamu bertuah tau. Syahira so lucky, why? Kelantan. Langit Kelantan ialah macam syurga tau. Heaven. Sangat jelas. Saya ada di Kota Baru. Ada pencemaran cahaya. There's a light pollution in Kota Baru. Just outside Kota Baru. At the Pantai Mas, the mouth of the Kelantan River. And outside Kota Baru. And from Jeri, on the Kelantan Perak border to Johor, to Kota Baru, the road at night all dark and clear. So in Kelantan, many places you can see Bima Sakti, you can see the Milky Way. So janganlah datang ke Pulau Pinang Cia buat astronomy. Buatlah di Kelantan. Jemput kami ke sana. So China, do a big star party. Do a big star party just outside what they call Kota Baru. Jemput saya and my society, Astro Society of Penang. Pertubuhan Astro Pulau Penang, apa di langit, we can go there. And kami ada pengalaman tau. You know, Dr. Chong, I want to do a star party of 100 people. Nothing. Do a big one. We have done before Penang. Beribu-ribu, thousands of people. Terbuka kepada semua orang dari Kelantan. Open to everyone in Kelantan. All the schools, all the people in Kelantan go there. We can do it. Okay.
Alright. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We need to plan to organize a big star party.
Please. I look here. I put it in your hands, and then please, don't forget our kumpulan Emma Zulaiha Zulkifli in Sabah. We hope that we can go there and do it with them also.
Yes.
Or invite them to Semenanjung. Yeah. Okay, what's the next question?
Kita di sana lah doktor. Sebenarnya. Alright, our next question. Panjang Okay. Next question kita. Okay, saya punya tu. Kan saya nak baca.
Okay, boleh je saya baca. Okay, daripada Riley Fizan. Okay. She asked about kebanyakan rakyat Malaysia pening apabila mendengar bahasa sains dan astronomi. Mereka tidak minat kerana sukar untuk faham. Apa pendapat doktor tentang penulisan novel astronomi di Malaysia? Okay. Silakan doktor.
Okay. Saya bersetuju dengan ayat ketiga itu Riley Fizan. I agree with him the third part, that is apa pendapat Dr. Chong tentang percubaan penulisan bertemakan astronomi di dalam novel Malaysia, but not the first two sentences. So the first two sentences he say that when we learn about astronomy in the internet, on the astro, or people talk to us, send to the WhatsApp, what they call, we are like kepala pening. We feel confused, headache, too difficult. Alright, and then also people are what they call don't understand this. So this one is not true for all people, Riley Fizan. These are for people like you, say the beginners lah. Orang yang mula. Again I say, Riley and the other people, selamat datang ke bidang astronomi. Welcome to the world of astronomy. You are left behind for so long. Alright, so for the people who don't have the exposure to astronomy, when you hear all this discovery and so on, they feel a bit difficult, you feel like intimidated, takut lah, apa ni? Tapi jika Riley Fizan ada di Pulau Pinang bersama apa di langit, di mana duduk Riley Fizan, Hafiz?
Di Tawau.
Tawau.
Oh, Sabah. Oh, Tawau. Mungkin dia jauh. Kerana sana mungkin kurang ada aktiviti. Cuma yang ada satu sekolah menengah Cina, dia cikgu dia Casey Chin lah. Dia yang ada aktiviti di sana sekolah itu. Tapi for most people, for beginners in astronomy, the moment you mention astronomy, they're keen to know, but they're scared. Very difficult to understand. But if you are in Penang, you're in KL, many places you do, they're no more scared. Contohnya, jika ada satu penemuan baru astronomy, it's a new discovery, say, let's say some years ago you have the space probe B. There's a probe launched by NASA to orbit around the Earth to confirm the so-called dragging of the inertial reference frame. Alright? The lens steering effect. They gave a talk in Penang also on this lah. So they talk about the lens steering effect. So most people say, oh, they talk. No, but our members already heard about that. So for us, we heard about that. So when they attend the talk, they are not scared. Dia orang yang ada dedahan astronomi, dia tak takut. Dia tak pening kepala. In fact, people who are exposed to astronomy, when they hear of new thing astronomy, they like to hear. They are not scared. They're excited. They are not scared. But for people who are beginning, say, Riley, understand you are scared. Kepening kepala. That's what I'm saying. So you will say, tentang percubaan penulisan bertemakan astronomi di dalam novel astronomy. So I agree with you. That's what we lack. So I would say I put part of the responsibility on myself also lah. Ada peminat astronomy, our Malaysian professional astronomer and amateur astronomer should write what you call reading material in the form of books or whatever for the general public. And not only that, series. Okay, let's say you try the first one on a general how my journey to astronomy, how I began astronomy, popular. Second one, my first experience in making my first telescope, popular. So write lah more thing. So come on series. So that's what we lack here. The other one I feel more relevant is this. So we have been trying to tell our Malaysian TV channels to broadcast regular astronomy programs where they interview and they see the astronomy scene in Malaysia. Of course, you see Discovery Channel, National Geographic, The Sky at Night, BBC, and fantastic. But we cannot relate to them. Most Malaysians cannot relate to it, too advanced and so on. So, for example, they should have a regular, let's say lah, sekali sebulan, every month, there's a so-called Malaysian Sky at Night. One of my heroes is Patrick Moore, Sir Patrick Moore. So when did I know Patrick Moore? Tahun 1960-an. 1960s. 50 tahun dahulu. Pergilah ke perpustakaan, the library, British Council. Pinjam, ni The Sky at Night. Oh, this book, Patrick Moore tak tahu. Baca, ni baik lo buku. Semua buku baca lah. So, Patrick Moore's documentary, The Sky at Night, is still on. He passed away already. So, his assistant, Dr. Chris Lintott, very lucky, is taking over lah. It's the longest running BBC documentary.
Wow.
Since 1950. Close to 70 years old. 70 tahun dokumentari. Tiap-tiap bulan satu dokumentari. You can go to internet. The Sky at Night. Hebat bu.
Sky at Night.
So they first of all, they will go to the amateur astronomers, professional astronomer, Balai Cerap Observatory in England. But they also go around the world. So Patrick Moore is so lucky. He's a world traveler, travel around the world. And Chris Lintott go around the best observatory in the world. Keck Observatory. European Southern Authority and go inside there and interview the astronomers there. So we must have a program like that, where we have, if possible, once a month or once every 2 months, where they go and visit all the observatory in Malaysia, interview people. And there's a big star party. There's a star party in Putrajaya, big star party, 2,000 people. Hey, Ade, wow, how do you observe? How I was here since 3 p.m. You know, the stargazing started at 8 p.m. And what have you seen? Oh, I've seen Jupiter, Saturn. I've seen M32, that galaxy. So how was it? So nice, you know. Oh, what I want to learn all these years. Finally, I'm so satisfied. So talk to the people. So what I'm saying is, you must have this Malaysian regular TV program where the script run by people, written by us, and about the scene in Malaysia. For example, many years ago, I think 10 years ago, I and my colleague, Encik Ramli Samad, he's a senior librarian in USM. He wrote a series for this RTM called Galaxy Program. Supposed to be 13 episodes. So we wrote for them 7 episodes lah. All right. So they came up with the Galaxy Program. But the problem is, we are in Penang, they are in KL. So we went to KL for 1 whole day, morning to afternoon. Right? Somewhere near this what they call Jalan Ampang there. There's a studio there. And just the whole day, we were there. Only can talk about half an hour of the video. Because each time they modify, edit, we check again, not so good, change it. Just for 1 whole day, just half an hour. So finally, the whole series, the 7 episode came out. We don't like it. I and Samad don't like it because they change it beyond our script. Because they don't know our astronomy, they change it in such a way that it's different from a script. So the best thing is, you write astronomy, do an astronomy series is, you have full control. The script comes from us, and we can control it. That is the way. And then you test the market. Ujilah pasaran astronomy in Malaysia. Test the market. Wow, a lot of people see, no. And then they still a lot of call, no way, like this program, like program. Okay, next year, next half year, another series on different things. And this is on, okay, we are going to see on astrophotography. So we go and see, we do a kind of astrophotography session in Jem Island, Pulau Jem lah, dekat Terengganu. And our people from Penang, Syarin Ahmad, Apa di Langit, William Chin, Starfinder, all go to Terengganu. And that whole night, RTM will record us for 1 episode in that month. And the next month, come lah to Pulau Pinang. You show them how to make your own telescope, ATM. You can make your own telescope. No, really, Pak Fizan, Pulau Pinang kami sudah the only group in Malaysia we make our homemade telescope. Itu cermin je lah, cerminnya diameter cermin 7 inci, tebalnya 1 inci, 2 keping cermin, kaca. You can grind, rough grinding, medium grinding, fine grinding, polishing, and parabolizing to get a parabola, and put into a vacuum coating unit, pelapisan vacuum, and coat with a layer of aluminium. Wow, so nice a parabola. 7 inch. And make a secondary mirror, a flat mirror, also homemade. Polish it, the flat, and coat it with aluminium. And then you go to Jeletong, buy your kayu plywood, potong, and they make. So usually our pelajar USM, the USM students come to my lab in USM. Now they go to USM Museum and Gallery. They come say once or 2 hours every day. So to make the primary mirror, second mirror, 1 month. To cut the wood and everything, another month. So in 2 months, you can have one telescope. And Fizan, yes. One more last comment. Don't fall down from the chair. Apa harga teleskop? What's the cost of the telescope? RM100 saja. RM100. RM100 how much? $20. $20. So cheap. Ya. Itulah, itu.
Belum siap lagi tu.
Yeah, that's it. So that one is the thinner one. That's the 6-inch one. The one we make is this 7-inch. So we would like to start ATM. So kami pun satu impian. We also have a dream in Pulau Pinang. Kita pun, saya dan Chun Kiat, kita tahu Chun Kiat, kita minat buat di Malaysia, macam ada di apa itu, San Francisco Sidewalk Experiment. Mereka ada buat teleskop Dobsonian diameter cermin primer 1 meter. 1 meter diameter. Dobsonian portable telescope. So we need some funding so that we can buy the big 1 meter diameter glass blank. Whoever can donate or we buy, and we make a machine to do the grinding and polishing. And maybe we send the polished mirror, parabolized mirror, to another company around the world, coat it and bring back to Malaysia. And then we make our own second mirror, and we make our Dobsonian telescope 1 meter diameter primary mirror, single mirror, and that will be what?
Wow.
The biggest telescope in Malaysia is a 1 meter reflector, and it's a mobile telescope. Mobile. And where are we taking it? Where are we taking it to? KLCC, Mid Valley Mega Mall. What I call Queens Bay Mall. First Avenue Pulau Pinang. Mana-mana. Oh, Kuantan ada shopping complex. Go Kuantan lah. Like this. Can be done. 1 meter telescope people make. Yeah, okay.
Okay, Doctor. Alright. Okay. Mirror ni Hadi pun belum siap lagi kan?
Belum, ada lagi dalam.
Ya. Okay.
Hadi pun belum siap.
Okay. Boleh cuba berhubung dengan Encik Nur Azam, Encik Astrolabe. Okay, Okay, thanks for the call. All the best everyone. Stay safe.
Belum habis lagi.
Ada lagi ya? Okay.
Ada lagi. Doktor nak tanya, so far berapa banyak dah teleskop yang dah dibuat oleh DP ni, oleh doktor?
Yeah.
How many teleskop masih?
I just said because some of them are from overseas. So since 1987, okay, we have made our own fully homemade telescope. Primary mirror 7-inch homemade, second mirror flat homemade, coated with aluminium with my coating unit. Buy the wood and the whole telescope. You can have it for 100 ringgit, excluding the cost of the ITs. So homemade telescope, you can see craters of the moon, seas of the moon, the rings of Saturn, the moons of Jupiter, the bands of Jupiter, and you can even take pictures also, and you can see some of the deep sky objects, nebula, galaxies. All right. So what was your question again?
How many telescopes have been made?
Oh yeah.
So far.
So since that time, I estimated, because initially we will make every year about 2 or 3 telescopes lah. So I estimated in the past 30 years we will make 50 biji teleskop, 50.
Wow.
But not enough. So already our member Chun Kiat already tried to do it, we hope lah. So now we are making our own mirror grinding machine. Machine you can grind automatically. So what? You can manufacture homemade telescope lah. Okay.
In later telescope.
So I tell you what, for the past 20 years, I talked with CK Chun Kiat in Penang. We are waiting for this. If let's say ada satu negeri, if there's a state in Malaysia, whichever state, they have some support, they can support us to make Dobsonian telescope for all the secondary school and some of the primary schools in that state. We can do it because we make very cheap one. Cheap. So, say 6-inch diameter, 4 feet focal length, you can make. Can. So remember, Hafiz and Hazim, I think for about 20 years, semenjak tahun 2000, since 2000, we have a kind of campaign in Penang, USM tau, campaign astronomy lah. That is one. Every secondary school in Penang to have a telescope.
Oh.
Every major secondary school in Penang to have an astronomy club. Every major town in Penang to have an observatory. Why?
Wow.
You know why? You know, you can go to, you have seen a lot of YouTube documentaries. So you go to Japan. Hey boy, you talk Japanese. Do you know about the Big Bang? Yes, I've seen the Big Bang. In my city, there's a planetarium. I saw the documentary and I saw a lot of the star party we attended before. You go to America, you go to UK, you go to Australia, and now in Taiwan and China and Hong Kong, the minat astronomy sudah letup. the interest in astronomy in countries around the world exploded, termasuk Malaysia, including Malaysia, right? So what we want to do is every school in not only in Penang lah, in Malaysia, secondary school to have a telescope.
Okay.
Every major school in Malaysia to have astronomy club. Every major town to have an observatory. Then we say, wow, well, the kesedaran astronomy Malaysia akan naik lah. Very naik a lot. That's the way to do it. We are doing astronomy for everyone. Up to the highest level. We're going to do astronomy up to the higher level. Don't care. Okay. 50 teleskop, ha?
Okay.
Sangat banyak.
Okay.
Okay. Doktor, just now yang Rayleigh Fizan tu, dia ada tulis buku. It's a novel. Dia tulis novel, tajuk dia Dari Orion ni.
Yeah,
Her
yeah.
book.
Yeah. But is Rayleigh Fizan already an amateur astronomer? Or is she?
Banyaklah information astronomy dalam ni. She's astronomer, amateur.
Tapi cara dia perempuan atau lelaki?
Perempuan.
Perempuan. Okay, Rayleigh. So dalam buku itu you tengok adakah dia betul-betul minat dalam astronomi?
Yes.
Dia berapa tahun dia dah hang astronomy? Berapa tahun? How many years he exposed to astronomy?
Oh, itu kena tanya Rayleigh Fizan.
Okay, if she can write a book, it's okay. So what I can encourage Rayleigh, nice to know you. Write some more. Buatlah lagi. But I hope you can write books on bukan yang ada tengok dalam itu laman web, internet, maklumat ni astronomy, ada tengok di lain negara. No, it must be first hand punya. First hand. You try to cover the experience, your own experience, Rayleigh Fizan, how you do astronomy, and how Rayleigh you go to the school. What was your what you call feedback from the people who do astronomy, and if possible, you go and do interview of some of those people who are astronomy, either professional astronomer or amateur astronomer. Like this Ya.
Ya, buku novel ni boleh dapatkan banyak, ada buku banyak. Dalam ni ada cerita pasal astronomy banyak. It's good feedback juga kalau baca buku ni.
Minta dia buatlah lebih banyak buku astronomy.
Dia tulis
Waiting for the second book, I guess.
Okay, saya buat satu cadangan macam sebelum ada buat ini Q&A session saya cadangkan ke Hafiz dan Hazim dalam masa depan in future for your this forum is good. Why not you focus on some interesting hands-on astronomy activities, like say astrophotography. You may say, but not many people keen on astrophoto. No, this session this week is on astrophotography. Part one. So those who keen on astrophotography will join in. But next week will be on something else. Other people who have other interests will be keen. Isn't it? So one of them will say on making telescope, part 1. And another month later, astrophotography part 2, astrophotography ATM part 2, and also you bring in Encik Nur Azam about artifact astronomy. How to understand astronomy artifact. Astrolabe, orally, remember, and tellurion, all the very interesting. I tell you, all these are very practical things. And then, what I find that makes me interested in astronomy, when I look at the telescope making book from America, you say you go to this street in New York City, and in that corner of the two road, there's a shop, and you can buy material from that shop. But when you mention about New York, I said, I have to go to Jelutong. Penang, don't have. So, but in the book written by Malaysian for Malaysian, you mention about Jelutong, about Pudu, about Putrajaya. People can understand. That's what I'm saying. So, maybe you have another series on this. What do you think, Hafiz and Hazim?
It's a good idea.
Practical punya. What do you think?
Yes, it's a good idea.
It's a very good idea.
And
We
then
just need to plan further.
And then another one for the serious people like me also lah. Cosmology.
Yes.
You see, most people will ask astronomy, Dr. Chong, we saw that cosmology about the inflation era. Can you explain? Not enough. We must have some like in this your forum here. a high level discussion, a bit of like research type. Okay, we saw last month that big discovery by that Russian observatory, and even the Americans excited about this cosmological discovery. Can we understand that paper, the research paper? So everyone got it in our home, we read it. So on that first day, first session, we try to understand the paper. And then the following month, we have another discussion on that paper. What are the implications for astronomy? And then we remember each research paper, we have other paper reference, rujukan, read the other paper, and then we got more in-depth. So we go deeper into that cosmological topic or this astronomy topic. You want to be like, if you ask me, are there people like that in Malaysia, that crazy? There are, in Pulau Pinang itself, I've met many people. What are you all doing? So now, sorry, Hafiz Hazim, you need to say, we still want to go, we still want to promote astronomy in this level to the Malaysian public. Come, look at the moon. Next week, come, look at the Saturn. What is this moon? Why got the Jupiter got 4 moons? Io, Europa, so, and always the same thing. There's no progress. You have activity for the general public, like what I said just now, but also higher level type. Up to what high level? Hafiz Hazim. Up to the highest level lah. Highest level. Why? Why are you scared? You are doing many years. Banyak tahun
we can do it.
I go to the internet. You can see the kuliah Nobel Nobel Prize ceremony lecture, no? Especially those related to astronomy and astrophysics. So my USM students, I asked them to look. But last time was through the desktop, the handphone. So you look at the highest level Nobel Prize talk on astronomy, or the astronomy conference, high level conference, live conference or archive webcast, see the expert talking about their research. And we try to understand. That's what we must do lah. What do you think?
Okay.
Good, huh? That should be the way, huh?
Good.
Jadi, sorry I add one more comment that you know. Macam ni, satu hari 24 jam tak cukup. So in one day, 24 hours not enough. Okay lah.
Okay.
One last question, I think. One last question lah. Kita siapa kita nak ambil ni, Azim?
Okay, dari Van Mita.
Okay, Van Mita ya. Question dari Van Mita lah.
Soalan?
Okay, soalan dia, how do Sir want this astronomy field to be developed in our country in future?
Oh, ya.
Okay.
Boleh dengar saya?
Boleh.
Yeah.
Okay. Vanita Akim Mulam is a good question. How do we want this astronomy field to be developed in our country in the future? So I give you an update lah. Saya bagi satu update on what until today, what the development lah, especially in the amateur astronomy field, and maybe I can also say a bit in the academic astronomy field because I was a lecturer in astronomy in USM. Although my background is solid-state physics, not astronomy, but we have been promoting astronomy for so many years in Malaysia. So I would say that I update you like that. So I break your question into two. The first question is, until today, what is the awareness of astronomy in Malaysia and what is development? I said, very good. Many people know astronomy. Many schools got club. Many activities. People know. And as I said, we have 80 Malaysian people already got PhD astronomy or going to get PhD astronomy. And they are either in Malaysia or overseas countries. So they are quite well developed now. So now the second question is, from this achievement we have, what are we going to go in future? So basically this is a big question. A big question. How can we make Malaysia, in my opinion, until it's like, it reached a level where any young Malaysian said, wow, so many things happen in astronomy. I have this to choose, I have that to choose, I can do. So what I'm saying is, what are we to do this? So now, before I answer that question, I give you two examples lah. Indonesia, Thailand, These are the two big players in astronomy in Southeast Asia. Big,
Yeah.
right? For example, in Thailand, from nowhere, Thailand took everyone, even left Indonesia behind, Last time Indonesia,
Menarik.
they have the Balcha Bosha in Bandung, built by the Dutch many years ago. But then, in the past many years, Thailand overtook even Indonesia because Thailand have their Narid Observatory. Alright, so I'm saying if Malaysia want to become future, we have to compare with Thailand and Indonesia. So let's look at Thailand and Indonesia. So Thailand, Narid Observatory is built in Doi Intanon, the mountain outside Chiang Mai, which I visited before. 2.4 meter diameter planetary telescope.
Wow, quite
I
good.
think. Richard
Okay.
Kitchen, built by American company. 2.4 meter. I was there. Wow, so big. Single mirror. Right? And now Thailand also, the next in Chiang Mai town, they already opened ceremony in February, 2 months ago, Astro Park, a big public astronomy center. By
Astropark.
Putri,
Chiang Mai lah. Chiang Mai Narid.
by Putri Mahasirindon, by the Thai Princess Mahasirindon, big public astronomy center. All right, and then now the Indonesian, they have the old Bosha observatory, the old one now. They have I think they have the cow-sized reflector, double reflector. But now, not to be left out, Indonesian fight back. So, but I don't know about this COVID-19 thing, whether they will cut down the funding. They already announced 2017, 3 years ago, that they are going to build in Pulau Kupang, near to Timor-Leste, closer to Australia, 3.8 meter telescope.
Wow. So
3.8 meter. Wuyu, pingsan. But that one is bigger than the 2.4 in Thailand. And I remember we were in Indonesia for the IOAA Olympiad, Astronomy Olympiad. That time, the Indonesian told me, one of the team leaders said they were thinking of building the 3.5 meter telescope Pulau Kupang. But then later on in 2017, they increased to 3.8. You know why 3.8? I ask you, Hashim and Hafiz, why increase? Because
why?
Devastal Optical Observatory India is already built 3.5 meter.
Lama lagi.
Because just open 2016, Devastal dekat Gunung Himalaya. India has the biggest single mirror optical telescope in the whole of Asia. Not South Asia. 3.6 meter. 3.6 meter. No, not 3.5. 3.6 meter. So the original plan Indonesia 3.5. Sorry lah. Kalah India lah. They lost to India. That's why they increased it bigger. 3.8 meter. That's the biggest. So now, and that is the optical telescope, optical astronomy, radio astronomy. Remember, the Thailand has already confirmed they are going to build just north of Chiang Mai also in the jungle, 40 meter diameter radio telescope.
Wow.
40 meter. 40 meter radio telescope. And it is fully steerable. The dish can be steered fully. But of course, Thailand is coming, and Indonesia also going to radio astronomy. Okay, so I have to give you the situation in Southeast Asia first. Then we talk about Malaysia. What about China? Now, the biggest radio telescope we know in China is a 300 meter telescope in Kweichow lah, right? Bigger than the one in Arecibo. Right? Yeah lah, 300 meter. But in China, dekat itu negeri Xinjiang in Western China, they are already building the Kitai telescope. QIT. The Kitai telescope is, I think it is bigger, very big. 110 meter diameter telescope, radio telescope.
Oh, wow.
And it is a fully steerable one. Can move here and there. Not like the fast telescope, which is fixed. The dish is pointing upwards, only fixed. But this one, 110 meters, is fully steerable. So it will be the world's biggest fully steerable single radio telescope in the world. The current biggest one, fully steerable one, is in Greenbank lah. The James Byrd telescope, about 100 and about 100 meters. The second biggest one is in Bonn in Germany. But China, they are building the 110 meter. But China's optical telescope not so big. So the world's biggest, Asia's biggest telescope is of course the 3.6 meter in Devastal in Himalayas in North India. So in Malaysia, if you want to go out, can we lawan against the Thais and the Indonesians? Maybe not, because there's a lot of investment. No? So what I can suggest to Bamita Atimulang, I'm very happy to see that in Malaysia, like Dr. Zamri in Nusin Malaya and some of the other Malaysian astronomers, they have called collaboration, kerjasama. They collaborate with telescope around the world, South Asian around the world, so that they can get their data and we can do our research. So it's impossible to compete with them. So instead, we invest money in them and we share their data and we can do this. That is the way to go. Investment. But at least, I think in Malaysia, we should build even at least more respectable optical telescope, isn't it? Hafiz, I think only two bigger telescope in Malaysia. 24 inci, 24 inch. Port Resmi in Malacca, 24 inci, Teluk Kemang, Port Dickson. 24 inch. Just more than half a meter. At least I have 1 meter, 2 meter. So I tell you, Kin, if you have tabung, you want to get donation, have the tabung to buy a 1 meter mirror blank. Doctrine telescope 1 meter. Alright, homemade. The biggest telescope in Malaysia, optical telescope 1 meter, and it's a mobile telescope. Bergerak punya, take whole of Malaysia.
Okay, that one okay.
Tapi ini susah tau. Nak tengok you have to build a tangga, you have to build a ladder to go up to see, ladder.
Because the IPs will be very far away.
It's not difficult. One more thing I stop. You know, in any optical telescope, you have a Newtonian telescope where the light reflect down, primary mirror focus up, and there's a flat mirror deflect to the side. You put the eyepiece. No, you can have the Coude or the Nasmyth focus. How? Coude or Nasmyth focus means the light come down from the star, primary mirror focus up, and the second mirror focus down, and somewhere very close to your eye level, you have another mirror to reflect the light sideways. And then you put your eyepiece on your head. Standing room, can. We can do it. The only thing is, it is not expensive to build a 1 meter homemade Gaussian telescope. Can. We already discussed with GK for some time already. Can. So
kita crowdfunding crowdfunding.
Crowdfunding can. We have seen with our bigger telescope in Malaysia, some of the objects like Pleiades star cluster with a normal binoculars Pleiades star with a 16 Newtonian. Wow! With the big telescope, Pleiades was so bright, painful to see. But some of the nebula big telescope. But with the 1 meter telescope, wow, you can see a lot. And where can we see this deep sky object? Dekat kampung untuk adik-adik. Mobile 1 meter telescope. Can be done.
Kalau ramai orang boleh datang tengok.
Okay, so basically my main suggestion is next time you have a special session on you focus on more practical topics, in depth. Either practical or theoretical. Okay, banyak kerja tak kena baca research paper dahulu. Okay.
Alright. Okay. Terima kasih doktor. Banyak dah doktor jawab soalan banyak sangat.
Ini sedikit saja.
Mak kata doktor 24 jam pun tak cukup. Tak cukup 24 jam. Betul. Kita ada banyak kawan-kawan kita yang mendengar bersama dengan doktor. Ada Azam berapa kali dalam ni komen, ada Dakdam, ada Izzat.
Jangan lupa bincang dengan Azam. Jemput Azam buat banyak Q&A session. Okay, boleh. Terima kasih jemputan. Okay.
Terima kasih banyak doktor. Thank you so much.
Okay, terima kasih doktor.
Bye.
Alright.
Okay.
Bye. Alright. Okay. Alright. Okay. Doktor dah selesai sama dengan kita. Macam mana Azim?
sangat bersemangat.
Panas kepala.
Banyak kerja ni. banyak kerja kena buat ni.
Betul. Apa pun kita ucap terima kasih lah kepada kita punya pendengar setia kita hari
Terima
ni
kasih
bersama
banyak.
dengan Dr. Betul. Banyak komen pun hari ni, maaf kami tak dapat nak entertain semua. Terima kasih kerana bersama dengan kami. Okey. Nanti kita nak tunggu pula sesi kita yang akan datang, sesi yang keempat. Sesi keempat kita dengan siapa?
Dan sesi keempat kita bersama dengan Encik Syahrin Ahmad, pengasas Palak Online.
Okey, saya tunjukkan dia punya sekejap ya, saya tunjukkan dia punya mana ni.
Okey. Jadi sesi kita dengan Encik Syahrin akan berlangsung pada hari Khamis. Okey, pada hari Khamis 30 April pada jam 11 pagi juga. Yang mana tajuk Cik Syahrin akan lebih kepada hoax in astronomy. So kalau anda ada apa-apa soalan berkaitan dengan apa benda yang tak pasti tentang astronomi, berita-berita palsu, nak tahu palsu ke tidak, betul ke tidak, okey, boleh ajukan soalan kepada Cik Syahrin lah. Yang mana boleh ajukan soalan di link yang tertera, https://bit.ly/apa nak tanya siri S4. Okey.
Siri yang keempat kita bersama dengan apa ni, Cik Syahrin. Okey, panas dah. Okey. Terima kasih sekali lagi pada semua yang bersama dengan kami. Terima kasih atas sokongan, terima kasih atas komen maklum balas yang membangun. Dan apa lagi Azim yang terakhir?
Okey, tak ada.
Tak ada dah. Nak cakap selamat buka apa lagi?
Tak betul. Okey, apa pun saya nak ingatkan balik kepada anda yang masih lagi belum tahu tentang program Apa di Langit at Home, boleh search di Google, type je Apa di Langit, dan di dalam website kita akan ada satu button Apa di Langit at Home. So dalam tu adalah banyak modul astronomi dalam bahasa Melayu yang kita dah upload dan dibina oleh team members Apa di Langit dan juga cross and check oleh penasihat akademik Apa di Langit. Jadi mungkin juga ada yang tak tahu, modul kita Apa di Langit at Home telah diiktiraf oleh IAU, International Astronomical Union, di website mereka, yang mana salah satu bahan rujukan astronomi, aktiviti astronomi ketika PKP waktu COVID-19 ni dalam bahasa Melayu. So saya galakkanlah semua untuk melihat website tersebut.
Okey. Sekali lagi terima kasih banyak. InsyaAllah jumpa lagi hari Khamis ni, waktu yang sama, tempat yang sama, Facebook Live kita dengan Apa di Langit. Okey, wabillahi taufiq hidayah. Assalamualaikum dan jumpa lagi. Alright.